Hello and welcome to Ms. PM Reads Christian Content, where we are continuing in Abscond by GG Wagner. And in our last video, the title was Hopeless, and Lyzee finds out she's pregnant. And then she goes to Rory's mother and she finds grace and hope. So we're going to continue. And I think we're going to cover two different sections because this first one's real short. Okay, finding new hope. Lyzee made a pile on her bed while tears filled her eyes. She paused outside of her mom's bedroom door and waited for the light from the hall to invade the darkness. The eerie quiet made Lyzee stiffen as she stood in the open and waited. As far as she knew, her mom was sober, which made what she had to do harder. The blankets rustled and her mom sat up. Lyzee sensed the annoyance in her movements before she uttered a word. I know what you're doing. I'm talking, so obviously breathing. Lyzee moved closer. The light illuminated her mom's face, making her look almost angelic. She met her mom's glassy stare in the shadows and wondered if those were tears. It took only 3 steps to cover the distance, and she dropped to her knees in front of the bed. The slap echoed in Lyzee's ears first, leaving her stunned. Her trembling hand searched to cover the hot welt that had developed on her cheek. In quick succession, her lashes fluttered to hold back the sudden surge of tears, and she managed to muster enough composure to say what she needed. I can't take care of you anymore, Mom. She paused, trying to repress the guilt that threatened her resolve. I can't even make good choices for myself. I have to go. If I don't, I'm afraid I'll turn out just like you. You can leave. I'm not stopping you. When you step out that door, don't ever look back. We're through. Tears blinded Lyzee as she walked out the front door. Tara rushed over to guide her to the waiting car. She slipped her arm around Lyzee's waist to steady her, while Danny opened the door to move his Bible and sermon notes off the seat. Lyzee's shoulders shook and her insides convulsed with uncontrollable sobs that racked her tiny frame. Danny didn't get in. He had time to walk around the car, but it wasn't moving. The hair on Lyzee's arms stood on end when she realized he had gone in the house. An intense wave of fear debilitated her as she fruitlessly pawed at the door handle to try and stop him. In a moment of frustration, she threw herself back against the seat with an exaggerated huff. Tara reached for her hand. The gesture, meant to reassure, only filled Lyzee with more doubt. Danny was inside and was about to see everything she had worked so hard to hide from him, Tara, and even Rory. She never should have called them to come get her, but Danny's number came up first on her screen. When Lyzee looked up a few minutes later, she saw Danny coming toward the car, his stride quick and expression solemn. His arms overflowed with her belongings, the ones from the pile on her bed. A new round of tears welled up, seeing Hammy teetering on top, the well-loved hamster with his thin synthetic fur, bare in spots, smiling at her with the same expression for any occasion. She tried to remember how he had taken the number 1 place in her heart, and Rory came to mind. On her 12th birthday, she and Rory had pinky promised to one day drive around Samuel's Gate in their matching Kia Souls with Hammy and Rory's hamster Kiki as sidekicks. Lyzee had never dreamed of a future before Rory and knew this newfound courage tonight was from her. She looked up as the dome light came on and saw Danny place her things on the passenger seat in front. Lyzee stared at him, desperate to read his eyes. He surely must have formed an opinion after meeting her mom and seeing the dilapidated state of her house. How could he see the way she lived and not look at her differently. Deep in her heart, she knew Milo was right. The only reason anyone at church knew the name Lyzee Noel James was because she was Rory's friend. Give it time, he'd say, and their obligation to you will fade with her memory. You could stay with us tonight if you want, Tara offered. Gwen and Mark are expecting me. Thank you, though. Lyzee heard the wobble in her voice and decided it best if she stopped talking. She rested her cheek on the cold glass and hugged Hammy to her chest. Danny and Tara's voices wafted about from time to time, but Lyzee disengaged. Her mind churned in reverse, counting backward in her head from 100, 99, 98, 97. With each number exhaled under her breath, all she needed was to make it to the Coopers and get settled in the spare room. Then she could fall apart. Okay, this section is titled Home. Lyzee opened the drawer while she balanced a small stack of clothes in her free hand, then closed it to check another. But they were all full. Maybe she had been presumptuous to think that nothing had changed. She sat stiffly on the edge of the bed, second-guessing her decision to come back into Gwen and Mark's life, when a note taped to the mirror caught her attention. It was penned in Gwen's handwriting, addressed to her. Lyzee, I can't even begin to express how happy we are to have you here. You were Rory's unbiological sister, her sentiment, which makes us your unbiological parents, our sentiment. That makes you a very special part of our family. I hope you don't mind, but I went on a little shopping spree and filled the drawers, closet, full of new clothes for you. We have always considered this room yours and still do. Give yourself time to adjust being up here without the comfort of Rory across the hall. This is where you belong, and she would want you here. The bathroom is stocked, and if you need anything, we are just downstairs. We love you, Gwen and Mark. Lyzee, are you up? Gwen asked through the closed door. Lyzee pulled the blanket over her head, protecting her eyes from the light found its way through the closed blinds. The night had been long, and the congestion in her sinuses was proof. If her head didn't hurt so bad, she would think crying her eyes out had been a good thing. Sorry, I get that problem. I don't like to cry because I get a headache too. Okay. Her heart did feel lighter, she thought, so the emotional purge proved to have some benefit. Rolling over, she came face to face with the clock and moaned at the realization she had slept for only 3 hours. Resistance to move came from every fiber of her being, but managed to get her feet on the floor anyway. The carpet in this room was a pale shade of beige, and Lyzee racked her brain to remember what she had eaten the night before that would leave a stain. A few deep breaths got her to the office chair on the other side of the room, and she hung her head over the wastebasket. Her eyes teared when her insides clinched, but nothing happened. She pulled sharply at the soft skin on her arm and squeezed it between her finger and thumb, which caused just enough pain to distract her from the queasiness. She remembered Gwen had knocked on her door and opened it to see if she was still there, but she wasn't. Lyzee chose a pair of stretchy jeans with a soft fleece sweatshirt from the closet and slipped across the hall to shower. The necessities basket overflowed with all of her favorite products, and Lyzee couldn't help but to notice Gwen had added even more since the other day. The hairdryer whirred, quieting her thoughts. It was going to take some time getting used to being here, knowing Rory wasn't. She hung her towel and gave her robe a good shake, dressed and ready for the day. A contentment like she hadn't felt in a very long time came over her, and she held on to the doorknob for a minute longer to relish in it. Lyzee saw Gwen was setting a tray on the desk when she came to her room. She could feel heat instantly fill her cheeks and came to a sudden stop. Good morning, sunshine. Where are you off to? Gwen asked. I can go somewhere else since you need to use this room, Lyzee said. This is your room. I just brought some saltines and mint tea to keep your stomach settled. It's been a while since you've eaten anything, Gwen said. Lyzee was speechless. Her shoulders relaxed as she took in Gwen's warm smile. There's no big rush, but Peggy is coming over later. Who's Peggy? Mark asked as he tapped on the open door. Lyzee looked over her shoulder to see Mark leaning against the door jamb, his arms folded like a genie. She wasn't at all surprised when he shot her a playful wink, just like Rory would have. It fascinated her how much alike father and daughter could be, not only in looks, but in personality, too. Lyzee attempted a smile, but without warning, her lip began to tremble, and she turned away. He had aged, his hair grayer, and the creases on his face more prominent than before. Even the twinkle in his eye had dimmed. She fidgeted with the strings on her shirt, stalling to gain control of her emotions. You've met her, honey. She's Lyzee's social worker from CPS, Gwen said. Lyzee's stomach began to churn, and she felt a cold sweat forming beneath her sweatshirt. She thought about running to the bathroom, but knew any sudden movement would not be good. Her knees felt weak as she lowered herself to the desk chair. Gwen brushed by to open the window, and a blast of fresh air blew in her face. The sensation passed, and other than feeling shaky, she was all right. After regaining the use of all 5 senses, she faced Mark and Gwen, who were sitting on the edge of her bed. We have something important to discuss with you, Mark said. Lyzee's breath caught in her throat, but managed to nod. The tray in front of her offered the perfect distraction. She picked up a cracker and began to pinch off tiny pieces. Possible scenarios filled her brain with doom while she attempted to follow Mark's speech. Gwen has filled me in on what's going on with you. We are not here to judge and don't think any less of you. This past year and a half has been hard on all of us. We are here to support and help guide you in any way we can. Please hear us out. This is something God has laid on our hearts, and if you accept, it will give us great joy. Here it goes. We want to send you to college. The sick feeling Lyzee had felt moments before was gone, and she stared wide-eyed out the window. She thought that dream was gone, but just the mention of it spurred her imagination, if for only a moment. There was no escaping her reality, no sense dreaming of something that wasn't possible. It seemed almost cruel to offer her something that they had to know was out of reach for her. No, I don't deserve that. Even if I ever wanted to, I'm pregnant and will be for another 7 months. That seems like forever, but those months are going to be here and gone. You still have a very long life ahead of you, and we want to make sure it is a good one. We will be right by your side and the babies, Gwen said. That's just it. I don't want to raise this baby. This baby deserves more than I can give. I thought I was better than my mom, but look at me. I'm no better than her. I don't want this baby to grow up and end up in the same place. It doesn't have to be like that. You're not alone, Mark said. My mom resented me, and I never understood it until now. She must have had dreams that went unfulfilled. I never felt loved, and those are the same feelings I'm having towards this baby, which tells me this family curse is going to continue unless I do something different. I want to give this baby up for adoption. Lyzee didn't move, shocked by actually saying what she'd been thinking since finding out about this pregnancy. Gwen and Mark looked at her with such concern on their faces, it broke her heart, bringing fresh tears to her eyes. Her voice cracked when she got enough composure to speak. It's going to be okay. I know this is the right thing to do. There will be a young family made complete because of this baby. What if Gwen started. I know what you're going to say, but that would only complicate things more. I appreciate the thought, It humbles me to think how much you love me to even offer that, Lyzee said. I think she's right, Gwen. Do you remember how hard it was to keep up with a toddler when we were in our 40s? You imagine that now at nearly 60? The chime of the doorbell reverberated up the steps. That must be Peggy, Gwen said. And that is the end of that section. Interesting. Okay, well, she's thinking things through and being wise, perhaps. We'll see what happens next. All right, you guys. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.